Alright, ma'am, welcome to another one of my videos. I'm going to be reading 3 pages out of a chapter of this book, as mentioned in the title of this video, Levels of Reality, and then comment on some of it. People who acknowledge channels 3, 4, and 5, and 6 are often treated as psychotic. You have flipped out of conventional reality. For someone who sees through the game of relative realities, the clinging to any reality at all as the reality, parentheses, is really the definition of insanity. For someone who sees through the game of relative realities, the clinging to any reality as the reality is really the definition of insanity. To free yourself from a fear of insanity, it's just a matter of letting go to the clinging of a model of how you have of things in your head as the reality, or clinging to the realities. I once visited my brother in a mental hospital. I sat in a room with him and his psychiatrist. He thought he was Christ, and the psychiatrist thought he was a psychiatrist, and each of them was convinced that the other one was insane. Most of the experiences that we have sought in our lives have been attempts to enter the universal oneness of Channel 5, total orgasm, the moment in which there is no longer somebody having sex with somebody, when it's merely the universe happening. That moment of perfect flow in which all separateness has disappeared is the moment when we are home again, when we know where we belong, when we have returned into the one, when all of the tension that is created by separateness has for a moment dissipated. Most of us know that at the moment of orgasm, all of our neuroses are irrelevant, not the moment before or the moment after, but for that exact moment. For somebody who is capable of living in Channel 5, that moment of orgasm, of total merging with the One, is a reality all the time. In order to be open to this merging, many of us who have smoked pot or taken acid or any other vehicles for overriding our programs know that we can set aside our programs for a moment and enter into the higher channels, but after a while we come down, and as a result we get frustrated. What brings us down is our attachment to the models or programs about who we think we are and how we think the world is, these habits of mind. Many of us are getting to the point in our spiritual journey where we are no longer trying to get high, for we know how to do that. We are trying to be. We are now trying to be. And being includes everything. We now recognize that if there is anything at all that can bring us down, anything, our house is built upon sand and there is fear. And when there is fear, we aren't free. Thus, we become motivated to confront the places in ourselves that bring us down, not only to confront them, but to create situations in which to bring them forth. That's quite a turnaround from a mentality that says, I just want to get high. This new mentality says, I want to get done. I want to be liberated in this very birth. I've seen how it could be. I'm tired of just seeing previews of coming attractions. I want the main feature. This mentality is quite different. Now, when there is depression, instead of running and hiding from the depression and trying to grab the next high, we turn around and we look at the depression as though we are looking the devil in the eye, and we say to the depression, come on, depression, do your trip, because you're just a depression, and here I am. We can do this because we are just a little bit connected to Channel 4, which lies beyond Channel 2, and the psychological channel is where depressions are, and you are beyond that. Turn the dial on channel again. Beyond form, male, female, narcissists, astrology signs, the mind, psychology, etc. You are a soul. Witnessing now. Depression. What do you know? To a being living on the 4th channel, what do you suppose sexual anxieties are all about? Was I good? Was it enough? Did I satisfy her or him? Will it happen too soon? Can I get it up? Should I fake it? Am I frigid? Will it be real? Those worries are on the 1st and 2nd channels. They're not real. They're not real, but how different it would feel if our identities are rooted in channels 4. If we were able to say, I am a soul that has taken incarnation in a body that has this particular sexual habit. We even arrive at the space where we are able to look back at our entire lives of neuroses and suffering and say, look at how perfect that has been in bringing me to this moment. Look at how perfect that has been in bringing me to this moment. So we have the paradox that on channels 1 and 2 and 3 there's an incredible melodrama going on and we are actors within it. There's a great deal of suffering, and when we're locked into channel 1 and we're angry and there's no food, that's real suffering. It's not fake suffering. But from channels 4 and 5, we can look at 1, 2, and 3 and look at all the individual differences and at all the melodrama and say, look at the perfection of the dance. Look at the perfection of the flow of the divine law, including the will of man that can go against the will of God. Look at the perfection of it all. But it's not freedom for the being attached to channels 4 or 5 who, when you're hurting, says, it's not real, don't worry, you're the Buddha, it's all an illusion. That's no more liberated than the person who's caught in 1, 2, and 3 and says, there's only pain and suffering everywhere and it's hell. Life is terribly ugly. The free being lives within all those realities simultaneously. He understands paradoxically that when there is suffering, we do everything we can to elevate it, while at the same time the suffering is perfection itself, and our doing everything we can to alleviate it is also part of the perfection. Ultimately, we understand when we are free to move without attachment from level to level of reality that the only reason we stay in form is to alleviate suffering or to bring others to the light, to consciousness, to liberation, to God. What a paradox. Is it perfect? Sure. Is it hell? Sure. It's both at the same moment, and all of this too is at only one level of exploration. I love that last paragraph when it says, it's not freedom for the being attached to channels 4 or 5 who, when you're hurting, says, it's not real, don't worry, you're the Buddha, it's all an illusion. That's no more liberated than the person who's caught in channel 1 and 2 and 3 and says there's only pain, suffering everywhere, and it's hell. Life is terrible and ugly. To say, it's not real, don't worry, you're the Buddha, it's all an illusion, is creating a polar opposite of, it's the exact same thing as there's only pain and suffering everywhere and it's hell. Life is terrible and ugly. You must go beyond that and free yourself once again and be in those planes and levels of reality simultaneously, but also beyond them, where you can say it's all illusory and it's all awareness. It's all real and it's all illusory. And that's awareness. Hope you guys enjoyed the expert from this book. Amen.